Welcome, friends, to another Word of Gord. Tonight, I'd like to talk about communications and perceptions through psychics and mediums of terrorists and suicide bombers. I've touched on this before in other videos. Just writing them off for you. Look under Columbine Anniversary and Retrievals, Retrieving Victims of Violent Crime, Parts 1, 2, and 3, Mumbai Assault and Mass Retrievals, and Bruce Pardo and Retrievals. Under those Word of Gord titles, you will find a lot of my experiences. This evening, I'm going to read from a book that quotes extensively from many other channelers and psychics. It's called Suicide: What Really Happens in the Afterlife? Channeled Conversations with the Dead, by Pamela Rae, Heath, and Jon Klimo. North Atlantic Books, 2006. This is a large volume, encyclopedic in scope, quoting sources from 150 years ago right up to the present. It is the most extensive and detailed coverage of the suicide phenomenon as far as the spiritual ramifications are concerned. At least it's the most extensive I have come across. There are others, for sure, but this one benefits from a greater amount of research. The book covers all manner of suicide and murder-suicide throughout the modern age. I shouldn't say the ages, the modern age. And what the departed have to say now that they are in the other realm, looking back on their actions and their choices. As such, I'm merely reaching out to the opinions of others, as you've seen and heard plenty of mine over the years. I would certainly agree with most of what's communicated here. I wouldn't deny any of it, but it is the experiences of others, not mine. I'm now beginning to quote. Part of the problem with the transition these souls have to make may indeed lie in the manner of their deaths by explosion. As channeled by medium Nevada Shaw, Trio made the following observation of how this experience had affected the spirit of a female suicide bomber. This phenomenon, this literal blowing apart of the physical being, is a trauma. It distorts in a different way the speed and the ripping apart. The molecular structure is changed in such a way that the former aspect of the mind has a different way of grasping it than in other forms of death. She doesn't understand how she feels solid now. She felt the explosion in her body. For a moment she wondered if someone else would have felt the explosion in their body. It did not occur to her before. In what you would call time, she will be able to ingest the sensations of moving out of the dimension of physicality, dealing with the emotional awareness of the other individuals on the plane, dealing with the questions you propose on a more ethical basis to communicate with others. It feels like another form of an explosion to her right now, the amount of information. It's as if there is panic in her eyes still, though she does not have physical eyes. She's still feeling the sensation of panic before the explosion took place. She is caught in that place. The anxiety of being caught was more frightening to her than anything. It was a relief, in a sense, for the explosion to have occurred. She felt as if the duty had been achieved and she could find peace, and there is no peace where she is now. That, of course, is not the truth, but that is what she feels. Text. As with traditional suicides, guides attempt to greet these souls using forms they will feel will be accepted by the ones they are trying to contact. In the case of a fundamentalist Muslim, this may mean appearing as a virgin, angel, or holy man. Trio stated they just got to see the beings that they wanted to see. One was a virgin, one was an angel. Well, I haven't done that myself, but I have appeared as different beings than who you see in front of you now in order to assist in the retrieval of someone who is stuck earthbound. Not necessarily a terrorist, but usually people dying in earthquakes and landslides and that sort of thing. They benefit from seeing a trusted figure. In yet another case, the greeter took another form. The guide described how he had made contact. I was in a robe. He knew I was not military. It was in a place that he often rested. So you created it, and again, so then you left the place of destruction? Yes. And you created an image of a place that he was comfortable in? He knew I was a holy man. That is not what I look like. I did it for him. How did he know that? Pictures he had seen. So you appeared as a holy man that he already knew? Not personally, but from pictures of him. So for him it felt as if he'd been honored with the presence of a holy man. And was this a holy man who had already crossed into spirit? No. Okay, thank you for that information. Is this a common method you use to greet these souls? Not in that form of this particular holy man, but to have them see what is necessary for them to be present enough to move away from what they have just experienced. And I would certainly agree with that. How did he know he was dead? Not at first, but he does now. Did he know that he was dead? He does now. How did he figure it out? Because we guides kept showing him different places simultaneously, and it frightened him. And he realized he wasn't able to do that earlier. Did he see what he expected after he died? No. What did he expect? He expected peace. And what did he have? Tremendous grief and fear. And was he aware of his victims? Just the children and one woman. I don't know if the woman was the mother of these children or not. I don't think so. Was he aware of anyone greeting him right away? One of us. Okay. So did he sense one of the spirits who is with us today? Uh-huh. Not immediately. He was in fear. It was a fear of this speed. He was going very fast. There was movement for him. He was panicking. And then we stepped in to allow him to feel us, but he only saw one of us. Okay, what did you communicate to him at that time when you first met him? That he was on another plane and that we were there to assist him. And how did he react to that? He didn't trust us, but he felt calmer. And what did you do after that? We showed him the children. What did you show him about the children? That they were all right. He didn't understand that at first, but it calmed him down. Another experience was described by a guide as follows. And what happened the moment he had crossed over? Was he aware that he had died? No. What was he aware of? He was aware of the destruction. It didn't occur to him as he was looking at the destruction as to what he was looking with. He just felt vindicated. And then what happened? Did anyone greet him? I greeted him. And what did you tell him? I asked him if he understood what he was seeing. And what did he say? He said, "It was done. I did it." I asked him if he understood what he had really done. He said, "I blew the building up. These people will not live." In another channeling session, the guides came through and insisted that all terrorist souls are met by an entity, if only to make sure that their emotion does not contaminate the astral realm. With accident victims, it sometimes seems to be the case that there are no guides to greet them when they cross over. Could this also be a problem with terrorist souls? It is not the case. We are aware when it occurs. We monitor, but we don't interfere. We are there to greet, only to prevent the infusion of their misperception of violence into the next realm. It is a corralling. Is that part of why you were chosen for your neutrality, because you can contain, or what you actually do with the energy of the emotion? It's a force field. To describe what this feels like is easier than to describe what it looks like. We're dealing in terms that don't exist entirely on your plane. It's like a sheet of cool glass that vibrates, circulates, and breathes around the individual's energy. They still have the perception that their body parts have blown apart. With their confusion, they believe every part has energetic information. It does on one level, but since they do not have body anymore, we have to blend, letting them know their spiritual energy and soul are still intact. It's simply an image to put before them, a sensation to help them feel they are intact. And it prevents emotions from spreading into your realm? Yes. Do you end up transforming the emotions, or do they dissipate? Or do the terrorist souls themselves transform the emotions? Ultimately, they transform the emotions. Transformation is a catalytic event. We are responsible for holding the frequency with which they can use their perception to shift and transform themselves. At what point can you let go of the force field? When their soul recognizes that they have never been shattered. On the point of being rewarded for their actions and how they carry that through, let's go on here. They are confused and annoyed right now. It doesn't seem that it had the impact they thought it would have. It isn't what they expected. They are annoyed. Did they expect to be blessed? They expected to be with God. They are with God, but it's not what they expected. Did any of them have a self-fulfilling prophecy, expecting to see the virgins and the reward and create it for themselves? Yes. Two that we speak with right now expected that. We allow them to see what they would like to see, but the message that comes through is that the thing that we are showing them. It is not what they expected. And what they need to hear is not what they wanted to hear. So it will be valuable to them. They got to see some of what they expected to see, but not all of what they expected to see? Yes. And in what way was it not what they expected to see? They expected to be rewarded for what they had done. They are still loved. They are still honored with being seen as divine beings, but they have to live through the torment, and they did not expect to see that on this side. They have to see. The next step of growth has to do with surrendering the passions to any story, whether it be about violence or power, even love. They have to just be willing to pay attention. When asked whether they had seen what they had expected when crossed over, a terrorist soul replied, "Not as we were taught." Do the terrorists feel they were being lied to? Guide? No, it is like they are still holding on to what they believe to be true. How do they feel about the fact that things aren't as they were told it would be? There is one man who is saying, it's an interesting observation. It's like he's turning his head around in full circle so he gets to see all of it. It's almost like he's arguing here. Quote, we still love, we still have people we care about. We are not without feelings. We did our job. We had a mission. I see a symbol of a moon in this. I see a symbol of a star. A moon and a star. I don't know why that's there. That's the medium and the text. It should be noted that the moon, particularly a crescent moon and a star, have been common symbols of Islam since the 15th century. This bewilderment over what happened to them after crossing over is a common element in terrorist afterlife experiences. As Trio put it, it's the same confusion almost all souls that experience this encounter. They believe it will be one outcome, and it is not. It doesn't feel as if the reward is present. Nor are male terrorists the only one who report their pre-death expectations had not been met. In discussing the spirit of a Chechen woman who was involved in downing a Russian plane, Trio noted, she is confused because she feels she has done a service and now it feels as if that's eluded her. She feels abandoned by men. The deeper truth for her is she has abandoned herself, but she doesn't understand what that means. On the question of funerals, and it should be noted that most deceased attend their funerals in spirit. This is a common thing, and all psychics know this. Not all terrorist souls attend their memorial services. In the case of one who was asked whether he went to his funeral, the guide stated, well, we asked him, but he did not choose to do that. We can do it for them. And why did he choose not to go? He felt it was too painful. He was embarrassed. There was shame. Why was he ashamed? He felt inappropriate. It was a dishonor for him. It was something that he felt dishonored about. There is much in this book about these souls and their experiences. Much, much more than I can put into this video. So I hope that was a little taster for you. Again, Suicide, What Really Happens in the Afterlife, Channeled Conversations with the Dead by Pamela Rae Heath and Jon Klimo. North Atlantic Books, 2006. As with all Word of Gord videos, I trust that was of some use to you. And if there's any kind of a demand, we can always do another.